Hello everyone. So yeah, today I'll be giving a workshop on building a collaborative whiteboard using Huddle01. So yeah, before getting started, first let's see like what is Huddle01, right? So let me explain in simple terms. Huddle01 is basically an audio video communication platform for Web3, which have Web3 primitive features such as like you can do wallet logins, you can host token gated calls, and lots of more things like you can do token gated live streaming. You can store the recordings on IPFS. So yeah, like all the Web3 primitive features are available here. Then let me explain more, like what we are offering to the people. So Huddle01 follow three-pronged approach. So the first is Huddle01 app. So Huddle01 app is basically you can access it from app.huddle01.com, and yeah, this from this like this is similar to like Zoom or Google Meet where you can do a audio video call. But how is it different is here you can first of all create an audio spaces as well. So audio spaces is like kind of a Twitter spaces but with more granular control and with web3 features such as like you can token gate it and use your nfts as pfps, and you can use your dids like let's say ens lens, so you can use this dids as your name. Then we do provide sdks. So yeah, like sdks we have for mobile and web. Right now we are also building in unity. So yeah, like for web we have sdk in react and vanilla js. So let's say you are building on react or like next.js, you can use our react sdk, or if you are using any other framework like svelte or anything, you can use our js sdk. So that is also available. And yeah, it's fully like built using typescript. So yeah, don't worry about typescript support. Then yeah, we also have for mobile, we have a SDK in Flutter and React Native. So yeah, you can use that both SDKs. So it's as powerful as like our web SDKs are. And the last but not least is our DRTC protocol. And I would say like this is the favorite thing for me because this is the I guess we are one of the first company who are building this protocol. So let me explain what is it, right? So Abhi, like whenever you do a normal call, let's say you are in Google Meet and you are connecting with your friend who is, let's say, in other country, let's say in US, and you are in India. So now, if you are doing a Google Meet, like you send that link and that person joins the call, so there is one centralized server which is connecting you both, right? Though it's like using WebRTC behind the hood, but there is one centralized server which is connecting two peers. So here, let's say like someone is in India, someone is in India, someone is in US. So the central server might be in Singapore. So like person is getting connected from Singapore server. So have you imagined like what will happen in remote areas where like they are very far from the servers? Let's say there is very remote area where we have very low internet connectivity and we want to do a video call from there. So there, like that place is too far from the server, so the latency will be a lot and also the internet connectivity is less. So here comes in the picture our DRTC protocol, using which basically you don't need any centralized server to host a call. Like you can host a node on your own computer as well, or you can get connected with the nearest node from your computer, and you can like your call will be hosted on them. So there is no server which is like routing your calls. It's just a like P2P network of nodes which is basically routing your calls. So imagine like this will solve the issue of latency in a lot of remote areas where right now we don't like they are not able to do a proper calls, right? Audio video calls. So that's what we are solving here using DRTC protocol. And also like it will give you an authority of the data, right? Let's say like you are doing a P2P call, like using a DRTC protocol, then there is no middle person who is interfering your call because there is no server, right? You are just doing a call which is based on the P2P network, like the protocol which you are building, which is based on that. So it's also like end-to-end encrypted. So I would say like no one will interfere your call, no one can intercept it, and you will get the, I guess, the best latency for your call. So yeah, that's all about like the DRTC protocol. If you want to learn more about it, soon like we will launch the white paper. You can read more on that. So yeah, that's about the three-pronged approach. Now these are the docs. So if you scan this QR, you can get the link to our alpha docs. So right now this link is of our alpha SDK. So yeah, soon we are launching a newer version of our SDK. So right now, if you visit directly like docs.huddle01.com, it will redirect you to an older SDK. But yeah, I would prefer that if you are building for ETH India or let's say in general using our SDKs, then please prefer like our newer SDKs. So yeah, this will be also like available on the main site as well soon. So yeah, if I scan this QR code, let me walk through like what are how the docs look like, right? So let's first see document the docs link. So this is the docs link, alpha.huddle01 alpha.docs.huddle01. So yeah, here you can see we have created a walkthrough guide for each and everything. So right, sir, let's say JavaScript. So in JavaScript, if you go to the walkthrough, here there is whole like the guide written where you are starting from like installing package to like, let's say here it's JS, right? So you can directly add using script tag. Then you can like all of the methods and hooks are mentioned in the walkthrough guide. Just go here and try to follow along all the code written. So yeah, this is about the JavaScript thing. Here also, like if you go to the methods thing, there are lots of methods available, right? I would say just go and read it out. It's also like docs are pretty well written. Then yeah, for React.js thing as well, similarly we have a walkthrough guide, and yeah, we have example app as well. Mostly it will be available. So yeah, right now it's not. Then yeah, we have hooks. So yeah, there are lots of hooks, and we also like follow the. So for in every hook we have particular props. So how this props works is, you see here, this is use room hook. Okay, so here you can see there are particular props like on join, on waiting, on leave. So this will trigger when this event is happening. So let's say you have joined a call, then how will you know that person joined it? So just write the code inside this on join method, which is like a prop inside that particular hook. Then yeah, you can perform any action there. So yeah, it's that easy. So yeah, there are lots of methods available. This is just a one hook, that is use room, but there are a lot of interesting hooks you can look into. One of the my favorite thing is use data message, and I will show you how this hook, how much powerful this hook is. So like we will be building a collaborative whiteboard, like similar to, let's say, if you have used what I say, Excalibur. Okay, Excalibur, if you have used, this is kind of similar whiteboard thing where you can collaborate with multiple people, and there you have your audio video call as well. Like you can just have the video and audio of that person. So yeah, I will just briefly explain like what this hook does is, this is basically help to send data to multiple peers present in the room. Okay, so let's say like there is one room which you join, and in that there are 50 people. Okay, 50 peers are there. So you want to send data to all the peers. So the most common example is chat, right? So we want to build a chat system. So for that, we want that whatever message we write, it should broadcast to everyone present in the room. So how we'll do it? Just use this hook, use data message. Inside that we have the send data function. So yeah, just use that send data function, and yeah, using that you can send the message here. So here this is the example. Just use data message, and yeah, here we are actually reading the data. Okay, so here you see inside it we have on message props. So send data is basically help you to send the data. Basically it's a function, and on message is a props inside that particular hook. So you also want to read the message. Okay, you want to send the message and you want to read the message from that particular hook. So for that we have this on message prop method available inside the props. So yeah, here we have payload, from, and label. So payload is basically like whatever data you are sending. From is basically from which peer ID that data is sent, like from which person. And label is whatever label you want to give. So let's say you are sending data for chat, then you can give label as chat. You are sending data for anything else, then you can particularly give the label as well. So it's just a string. So yeah, that's about this like data message. And yeah, the send data thing is here. See, it requires these two params, to and payload. So to basically requires the string. See, in to you can also send data to specific peers. Okay, it's not just कि सबको broadcast हो जाएगा. You can send it to specific peer as well. So for that you just need to pass the array of peer IDs. So here if you want to broadcast to everyone, just write star and it will broadcast it to everyone. And yeah, the payload is basically the string. So if you want to send JSON data, just stringify it. So yeah, that's about the send data hook. You send data message hook. Now let's see how we can actually build an app. Okay, so I have this demo. So before going through the code, I will show you the actual demo, like what we are building here. Okay, wait, let me just start the server. Okay, so this is like a simple whiteboard, like Excalibur or whatever we say. So for this whiteboard, we have used a TL draw. So I will show you the repo as well. So this is like basically the repo which I used to create that app. So this is a TL Vraj example, and this repo helps you to create collaborative whiteboard using WebSockets. So yeah, you can look into this code. This repo is only used to create this, and we have added our Huddle01 SDK to make it move better. So now what I will do is I will simply just join the room. I will write my name here. So whenever I write my name and click here create meeting, it will in backend what it will do is it will generate a new room for me, room ID. So it will like call an API and it will generate a new room. So now you can see this URL is different. Here you can get the room ID here. So yeah, I have joined the room. Now what I will do is I will share this link with other people who wants to join this collaborative whiteboard. So I will just copy link from here. And yeah, I will just paste this. Okay. So here also I just have to enter my name. Let's say Akshit, and I will join. So now the thing is here, if I just minimize this thing here, so whatever I'm saying, I'm moving here. Here you can see here also it's moving, right? You can see it. If I'm moving Vraj here also the cursor is moving. So this thing is basically happening using use data message hook. So I'm just sending the data from one room to another room, and I'm reading it here, and I'm changing the location of my cursor. So that's how this is happening. Here also, if I change this here you can see that it will be changed. Also, I can turn on my audio video if I want. So I'll just click here, and here you can see the video is also visible. Okay, you can see both. Similarly for audio as well, you can just turn on the audio and audio will be shared. So this is basically how, so this is basically how you can, this is just a demo. Now we'll see the code, like how this is written. So I'll just open my VS Code. Yes. So the first thing which you have to do is you need to define the provider here. Just zoom a bit. Yes. Yeah. So first you need to install the package. So I will show you which packages you want to install. It's here in the package.json. So we need two packages here. One is a React, Huddle01 React, and another is Huddle01 Server SDK. So you can just easily install it using this command like npm add and the name of this package, and just add the alpha tag as of now, because like it's in alpha, the SDK is in alpha. But yeah, once it's launched, you don't need to add it. So yeah, now so this is the the root directory of my project. So this project is built using React White. You can do it in Next.js as well. So yeah, here what I've done is simply I just created a provider. I imported the Huddle provider from the SDK, and I provided the client, Huddle client. So here I defined the Huddle client, and here I need to import the project ID as well. So how you can get the project ID is very easy. Just go to the project. Yeah. Just go to the docs, and here you can find this thing in the API section. So get an API key. So once I connect my wallet, you can see that I will get my API key. Okay, so just go to the docs, click on get an API key, and from here you can just copy your API key and project ID. As simple as that. So yeah, once you get it, and always make sure that like you use this inside an env, because we don't want to public our API keys. So yeah, here let me just open main.tsx. Yes, so simply I just use the project ID inside the Huddle client, and I pass that Huddle client inside the provider. So once you have initialized the provider, we'll start using our SDK directly. So I'll just show you the routing here once. So we have just two routes. One is the home path, another is /room ID. And yeah, I'm using white React, so that's why I have used React router DOM. If you are using Next.js, you can directly do it. No need to install any library. Then I will directly show the room code. So room is basically the main component from which the things are happening. So here what I did is, first of all, I just get the room ID from the params. So whatever, like I show you the demo, right? So whenever you create a room, the room ID will be in the URL. So I will get the room ID from the URL here, and I will pass it inside the name editor. And before that, there is also this thing called YJS, use YJS store. So this is basically a custom hook which I created, and this is library YJS WebSockets. You can just look into it. This basically helps you to send data over WebSockets. So it's a bit complex code, but I would just say that go to the code once, and it's okay if you don't understand it whole, but just try to understand what is happening here. So basically, like this hook helps to what I would say, create a room, and it basically read whatever updates are happening. So whenever I move any cursor or make any changes in my whiteboard, it will read that data from front end and basically sends it to the WebSockets. And from the another way, I am just reading that data from WebSocket. So it's simple like how we have a chat application on WebSocket. Simply here I've created a whiteboard where I am sending the data from one computer to another using WebSockets. So yeah, this is like the use YJ store code. And yeah, once I get the store from here, I need to use this inside this library TLDraw. So TLDraw is like the package which I use. This is a third-party package. You can refer to that repo as well. So I just use this YJ store and TLDraw from that example app. So yeah, this is TLDraw. Now I will show you the name editor. So this is also like a custom component which I created, name editor. And here I'm basically sending the room ID. So yeah, this is like the main code which is happening, like having the whole logic here. So I'll just show you the few important components like what are required for Huddle01 SDK. So here you can see that first we have used this use room hook, and what we are doing here is we get two things here. First is the join room, which is like the method which you can use to join a room, and another is the state, that is like the room state, which is so there are like 2 to 3 stages. One is like the idle, then one is like loading and all. So you can also check it through the SDK. So if I just click here, use room, and here you can see like what states are available. So if I just go to the states, so right now these states are available: idle, connecting, connected, failed, left, closed. So if you want to track things like what is the current room state, you can check it using this variable. Next is yeah, this is a use room hook, and inside this also I shown you the prop, right? The on join prop. So this prop will trigger, like the method will trigger of on join whenever someone joins the room using the join room method. So whenever someone joins the room, I will update the metadata. So what is update metadata? Let me show you. So see, understand that in a room, everyone is a peer. Just consider that whatever person is present in the room is called peer, and there are two types of peers. One is local peer, which is me, myself. Means if I join the room, I am the local peer, and whatever remote peers are like the other peers apart from me, whichever are present in the room are remote peers. Okay, so मेरे सिवा जितने भी room में है लोग, that are remote peers. So right now, what I'm doing is I use this use local peer hook, which have this two method, metadata and update metadata. And I would say this is like really good way to add the data of a user. So right now I just have display name and avatar URL, but let's say you want to do more data, right? You want to have your own custom data for every peer, then you can easily do that. Just create one type and pass it inside the hook, and you can do that, right? It's as simple as that. And similarly, we have the use remote peer hook as well. So yeah, here we have metadata, update metadata. So metadata will basically give you all the metadata of particular local peer, and update will just update the metadata. So yeah, I'm joining the room, I'll just update the metadata. And what else is doing is, so inside this use effect, I'm just checking whether I'm getting the room ID or not. So there are two cases here. First is that I'm getting a room ID from the URL, or else I'm generating the room. So if I'm getting the room ID, I will update the metadata from that. And yeah, this is also a function create and join room. So yeah, this is basically calls the API. This is the API which you can use to create a room for Huddle01. So yeah, and also make sure that you use the correct API endpoint, because we have a different endpoint for iframe, and the rooms internally work in Huddle01 are different. Like for iframe, there is a different room ID, for SDK there is a different room ID. So don't mix it up. Like whatever room ID you generate from this API won't work in the iframe or like app.huddle01 prod. Okay, so all three are different things. So yeah, using this SDK you can get the room ID basically. So what I will do is I will just get the response from that API call. I will just get the room ID, and there is this also one method called create access token. So these are the steps, right? What are the steps to create and join room is first create a room, okay? Then to join room, you have to basically create an access token. So if you look into the join room function, it requires two parameters. That first is room ID, another is access token. So to get the access token, you need to use this method create access token, which you can get from our server SDK. So let me show you how you are getting it. So see, this is the create access token, and yeah, here I am getting it. So this is like the function which I created, but this is the access token which I am getting, right? So if I just click it here you can see that from the server SDK, I'm getting this access token method. So yeah, using this you can easily create an access token, and also like it's pretty customizable. If you just look into the parameters here, so what it requires is first of all, of course, API key which are used to generate a room. Next is room ID which we have generated using the API. Next is role. So you can, like right now we have some predefined roles like host, co-host, listener, speaker. So most of the roles are useful in, let's say, audio spaces app where we have a listener and speaker different role. But in a normal video meeting, mostly we have host, co-host, and guest. These three users. So yeah, here you can pass the role, and this role is also coming, that's an enum from the server SDK. Then here are the permissions, right? So this is like, if you want to make that person admin, just make it true. If you want to don't, then just pass false. Then here are some other methods like can consume, produce. So I just briefly explain like what is consumer and producer. So consumer is basically a person who is consuming the data. Like let's say you are in a room, you are consuming audio video data from remote peers, and produce is you are consuming your audio video data to other peers present in the room. So that's the producer. So yeah, here you can just set whether you can consume or not, or whether you can produce or not. Then we have producer sources, like whether, so let's say you want to make sure that whoever joins as a listener should not have mic true. Okay, so that person should not have permission to turn on their mic. So I'll just turn mic true, but in general, like I recommend that just pass everything as a true here. Okay, so that's a different use case. Then send data. So also if you want to make false, like that person should not able to send data after joining the room. But I just say that please make these permissions true, because most of the things you can handle it from the front end as well. Like just make these conditions true here, and from the front end just make that person not allowed to do that. Like if you are in audio spaces, you can make the mic true, but what you can do other thing is from the UI, just make sure that if that person's role is listener, that person can't turn on their mic. And if that person is changed to speaker, the role is changed to speaker, then you can turn off and turn on this mic, right? So that's how you can do it. And yeah, this is like basically permissions here. And so yeah, this is access token dot to JWT, which will generate a JWT token, and you can use this user token inside the join room function. So I will just use this function like user token which I get here. And yeah, here you can see I use this join room method, which requires two things. First is room ID, another is token that I generated from that access token method. So here the user token, and here is the room ID. So this is how you can join room. And here are like the simple like the CSS code just to make the UI. But one more code is this thing, like I'm sharing the cursor, right? So that cursor of the user is shared using use data message hook, like use send data function, right? So for that, here you can see what I'm doing is, first of all, I will just create one use state for that position of a cursor, and I will send it using a send data hook. So whenever like there is any change in this position, I will send that data. So here, if you just see the code, I just get the send data function from use data message, and of course I need local peer to update the metadata. So I'll just use this hook use local peer. Then what else is, So here you can see inside this use effect, what I'm doing is I'm sending the data. Okay, so this use effect will call whenever that state condition changes, right? So I created this state here, that is cursor position. So whenever the value of that state changes, this code will be executed. So here on mouse move, I'm just like getting the width of the screen to just get adjusted from the borders. And yeah, once I get it, I will just set the use state, and I will send that data using that send data function which I showed you, right? So yeah, here you can see I'm sending it to everyone who are present in the peer. Payload is basically like the two things which I want to share. So I'll just like json.stringify, because it only requires the string as of now, and the label as a cursor. So make sure like whenever you are reading it, you just make sure that the label is correct. So from that you can filter out. If you are sending multiple types of data, you can filter out based on the label thing. So it's, yeah, that's simple. You just send the data, and I just added one event listener that whenever some mouse move, this should happen. So this code is to send the data, and there is one more code, peer data, which basically reads the data, right? So from local peer, I will send the data, and from remote peer, I will read the data, because I want that whatever position if the remote peer's cursor is, I want to show it in my current user, like the local peer, right? So for that, here you will see I use this use data message hook directly, and inside that there is this method on message. So yeah, from here, like I can just first of all filter it, like if the label is cursor and it's from the peer ID. So peer ID is like I will get it from like the parameter from the props of this function. Okay. So yeah, here I will just set the cursor position based on the data which I get. It's that simple, right? I'm just sending the data and reading the data. So here I'm just sending the location of my cursor, but you can send any kind of data. But of course, there will be like certain limit to send the data, like you can't send very large data. But if you want to send the text or like the data such as like the cursor position or something, you can do it easily using our send data hook, send data method. So yeah, this is like the simple CSS. So that's all. Like you can use the send data to send the data. You can read it using the on message method inside the use data message function hook. Yeah, and if you want to know more, like so here also we have this use remote video and use remote audio hooks. So from this you can get the track of that particular remote peer. Okay, so here you just need to pass the peer ID. So just make sure that you like structure your code accordingly, that you create a different component for a remote peers. Like you can't load it directly. Let's say you import all peers and you just loop it around it. So it's good practice that you create a separate hook for that. So yeah, I just created a separate hook for remote peer, for each remote peer, and I will just pass the peer ID for that. And from the use remote video, I just pass the peer ID and I will get the track of that particular peer ID. So from remote video, you can get whether the camera track, the media track, and yeah, for remote audio as well, you can get the audio track. And is video on is basically just to check whether that person's video or audio is on or not. So yeah, these are the hooks. And also use remote peer, from which you can get the metadata if you want. So let's say you want the like the display name and avatar URL of that person. So yeah, just use the metadata method from the use remote peer hook, and you can easily access it. So yeah, I guess that's all about the code. So yeah, thank you for the session, everyone. Yeah, bye. Also, like if just anyone have any questions here? Yeah.
So when you use the use data message hook from the Huddle01 SDK, right?
Yes.
Do you want me to repeat the question?
Huh.
So I was asking, when you use the use data message hook from the SDK, so that also under the hood uses WebSocket to transfer the data, right?
Yep.
So then why did
Data
you need YJS why did you use that?
Yeah, because I guess right now there is a certain limit to send the data, like it's around 1 or 2 KB. Okay. So in collaborative whiteboard, it also have a functionality where you can upload an image and edit it. Okay. So just imagine like the whole image is also around, I would say 1 or 2 MB. So 2 MB की image है, so how can I send that image data using data message directly? Right? Okay. It's not an efficient thing to do, kind of.
So in the YJS thing,
Yeah.
you're using, like, it's possible to send images through sockets as
Yes,
well.
it's possible.
Okay, so how it's being done? Like, do you
I
send
guess
it
like
in
the
buffers?
SDK, how the SDK is written is a bit different. Like they have the data channels and there are like certain limitations which you can send as of now, but it can be upgraded in future. Like we can create an upgraded version of the use send data hook where you can like send large amount of data as well.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So another question that I had is, you said that there is a limit to the data you can send in use data message hook, right?
Yes.
But is there a limitation on the number of times you can call the function in a
No,
room?
there is no limit because if you see here in the demo, I'm sending the cursor position. Okay.
Yes,
So-
that's what I was wondering, because cursor position needs to be updated
Yeah,
like every
it would be
millisecond.
updated after, I would say, milliseconds, right?
Yeah,
In a millisecond,
exactly.
if you just drag mouse from one position to another, there will be a lot of data transferring.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you just see the example, it's not lagging here.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
So that's how powerful the SDK is, right?
Yeah.
That you are getting a real-time update of the data and you are able to send large chunks of data. Not
Yeah.
chunks, but multiple times, right? You are calling that send data method multiple times to send the data, and the on message method is also reading it in a real time.
Yeah.
So that's like the power.
That was
of
very
it.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Those who are collaborating in the whiteboard,
Yeah.
suppose if I'm collaborating with you,
Okay.
so you're doing something, and if
Mhm.
I want that data to be stored, to be used later on, so can I export that data as well?
So I guess here you have an option to export the current whiteboard to somewhere. You need to check the SDK, like the TL2 SDK which I'm using. So I guess they have an option to export that particular whiteboard to a PNG or some format if you want, and then you can just store it on somewhere to access it later, right?